Hi, this is Bonnie with Bonnie Bay Crochet, and I am working on a very special project that is going to be released very soon. Can't wait to show you what it is, but it's going to involve a lot of changing yarn color while working with cables. This is going to be an intermediate to an advanced project, but I wanted to give you a heads up because you might be able to use this on some of your other projects if you wanted to have the cables a different color than your background fabric. Well, let me show you how we're going to do this. Okay, I'm going to show you how I change my colors. I'm changing from a caramel to a cream, and I have my yarn on the back side. So what I'm going to do is before I complete this half double, I'm going to change the color just like that. Now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to carry this caramel color on the back side, and you can see how I've done this already on other stitches, and you do not see it on the front side, or at least you shouldn't. So let me show you what I'm doing. So let's go ahead and get the right color here. I'm going to work a crossing of the cables. So I'm going to cross this in the center. I'm not carrying the yarn on these half doubles, but I am going to now work a crossing of the cables. I'm going to work 4 front post double crochets, and then I'm going to come back and work 4 front post double crochets here, and I'm going to carry the yarn behind me as I go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hook in. This yarn is going to go in front of the hook, but it's going to stay on the back side because I'm working my hook around this stitch for a post stitch. I just complete it as I would normally. Okay, let's do that again. Normally you would just put your hook around like this, but what I'm doing is I'm putting the yarn in front of the hook, and it does stay on the back side. You can see it a little bit there, but that's because the yarn is loose right now, and I'm going to pull it tight once I finish. And then I do the next one. Again, the yarn goes in front of the hook, but it stays, I'm kind of holding it back with my hands. It stays on the back side, and I complete the stitch. And let's do it again. All right. Now this is work, it's a little tricky, but very doable. Working in front of these last 5 stitches, the half double and those 4 front post trebles. I'm going to come all the way over here, and I do have the yarn a little bit loose. So as I work it around this cable, I just make sure that the yarn is in front of the hook here. And then I work that front post treble. Okay, and put it in front of the hook here as I wrap that hook around the stitch. And let's do it again. And let's do that one more time. Okay, you can still see the caramel yarn right there. Okay, now I'm going to change the color, but before I do, I'm going to pull this. I'm going to show you. I'm going to pull this a little more taut so that the yarn color does not show. And then I'm going to bring this in as I complete the last part of the cable, because I am switching to the caramel color. Now if I wanted to carry this along with me, I could simply crochet over that. That works fine, and I have done that in many places here. It's fine as long as the yarn colors are not a super high contrast. Like if I'm working with black and white, that would be a little more difficult to hide. But since the colors are very similar, you don't even notice it unless you're really looking for it. Okay, so that is how you would hide it with the front side facing. But let me show you how to work this with the back side facing. When the back side is facing, I like to keep the yarn strands in front of me when I'm working, and of course I keep them on the back side with the front side facing. But now we're going to work back post double crochets, and this is after the cable crossing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the strand in front of the stitch. Let me show you first of all. Without the strand, I'm just going to work a back post double crochet. That's what I'm going to be working. So in order to do this and carry the yarn, we're going to do the same motion, but I just make sure that the yarn is in front of the hook as I do that. So that's one, and then here's another back post double crochet, and I have two more that I'm going to work. I know it's a little tricky to see after you've crossed a cable, but it's actually the more complicated part, so I really think it's important to show you this. And then the fourth stitch, again, put that yarn in front of the hook. And my special way of doing cables, I like to put a half double at the cable crossing, just right there. And then I'm going to do four more back post double crochets, put that strand in front. You have to make sure that this strand doesn't get caught up in the stitching though. That's easy to do that. Okay, let's do that again. See how the stitch or the strand goes in front of the hook as we make that back post. And another one. And another. All right, let's pause and see how the strand is very loose. So if I give this a little bit of a tug, you don't want it to be super, super tight, but you don't want it to be real loose. That way the strand is hidden quite effectively in the stitch. And this is looking at the back side where you're going to see, you know, the color changes a little more obviously. But when you turn to look at the front side, you would never know that you've just hidden yarn in 8 stitches. Now let me show you what this is going to look like working with just post stitches. Let's go ahead and turn. So if I am working and just straight up from the front side without crossing the cables and just working front post stitches, okay, I'm going to put the yarn again in front of the hook as it makes its way around the stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Another half double crochet, and let me go ahead and do that for you again. 1, again putting this strand in front of the hook, but I'm not catching it with the hook. It's just laying there. And I'm giving my 2 fingers here that job of holding on to it. Okay, 4. So you don't see it, but I'm going to go ahead and give it a little bit. Give this, you see how the caramel is a little bit loose. I'm going to give it a little bit of a tug. Makes it a little more snug behind the work. And there you have it. So that is how you can work in a second color while working cables. And again, it just carries the yarn along with you in the work, so you don't have to cut and hide a bunch of knots. And you know, it just saves so much time, and I think it makes a beautiful item. It just works into your work beautifully.